Today we're jumping straight into an explainer that's honestly going to completely change how you view one of the most famous animals on the planet. We're talking about the lion. Now look, we've all grown up hearing about the undisputed king of the jungle, right? But today we're peeling back the layers to look at some truly surprising historical myths and bizarre facts about this magnificent creature. I promise you, by the end of this, we're going to uncover some secret fears that will completely challenge what you thought you knew. Plus, we're actually going to draw out some incredible, unexpected lessons on leadership and, believe it or not, financial discipline. So let's get right into it.
So, do you really know the king of the jungle? I mean, we all just picture this majestic beast roaring on a rock, but the truth recorded by ancient experts is so much more layered than that. To really understand the lion, we have to first understand exactly what traits earned it that royal crown in the first place.
And those foundational traits, they're intense. It's basically a masterclass in raw authority. I mean, it becomes the king because it is incredibly powerful, fearless, and just downright imposing. But it really doesn't stop there. The lion is also ruthless, undeniably clever, and interestingly enough, it has a reputation for being pretty bad-tempered. It's this very specific, intimidating combo of sheer physical strength and a totally uncompromising, hard-hearted attitude that locks in its spot at the very top of the food chain. It's a true testament to establishing absolute dominance.
Now, what's truly fascinating here is the sheer volume of respect this animal commands. Ancient experts didn't just toss around one or two words for it. No, they documented over 500 distinct names and titles for the lion. Just think about that for a second. How much awe does an animal have to inspire for humans to invent over 500 different ways just to say its name?
And out of all those hundreds of ancient titles, one really stands out above the rest: Assad. But see, this isn't just a name. It represents a literal gold standard of patience, discipline, and mastery. It carries the weight of history and perfectly captures that fearless, imposing nature we just talked about. These are traits that honestly translate flawlessly into modern leadership and foundational financial principles.
Section 1. A bizarre birth myth, according to ancient animal experts.
So when we look back at historical records, we find some deeply fascinating, honestly almost magical beliefs about how these kings actually come into the world. Walk through this step-by-step progression with me, because it is straight out of a fantasy novel. According to early observers, Step 1. The lioness supposedly drops a completely lifeless lump of meat onto the ground. Step 2, she doesn't do anything but carefully watch over it for 3 whole days. Then, Step 3, the male lion arrives and physically breathes life into this lifeless lump. And finally, Step 4, after 7 days, the newly formed cub opens its eyes. Obviously, it's an unbelievable historical myth, but it just goes to show how mystical and larger-than-life the lion appeared to ancient people.
Now, following that awakening, the reality of a young lion's growth is incredibly rapid. Once the cub opens its eyes, the mother provides milk to nourish it, but that grace period, it's short. By the time that cub is just 6 months old, it becomes completely self-reliant. It achieves independence at an incredibly young age, setting the foundation for a hardcore, self-sufficient lifestyle. Honestly, it's a perfect natural metaphor for building early financial independence and personal accountability.
Moving on to Section 2, Rules of the Hunt, the strict code of the king.
So these peculiar hunting habits aren't just biological quirks. They are incredible examples of absolute self-reliance. Let's unpack this royal code, because it genuinely reads like a masterclass in financial discipline. First off, the lion shows immense patience when hungry, and it needs very little water to survive. However, when it hits the point of actual starvation, it becomes incredibly bad-tempered. But here's the brilliant part. The lion strictly hunts for itself. It outright refuses to eat prey killed by another animal. It's basically saying no handouts. Furthermore, it abandons its own leftover food. It just doesn't cling to scraps. It even refuses to drink leftover water from a dog. It maintains these exceptionally high standards, investing only in its own efforts. And when it's finally full, it lies down completely straight. It's just a remarkable display of patience, high standards, and total self-reliance.
But, before we put the king on too high of a pedestal, we kind of need to pivot to a slightly less majestic reality. Because for all its royal discipline and what it eats, the way a lion eats is actually deeply peculiar and, quite frankly, very unhygienic.
The reality is, the king of the jungle doesn't actually chew its food. Instead, it bites off these large chunks using primarily just its 2 front teeth. And compounding this issue is the fact that a lion produces very little saliva. So, because it's ripping off chunks without chewing and lacks the saliva to naturally clean its teeth, the end result is that this great ruler constantly walks around with a very, very dirty mouth. Now, beyond the dirty mouth, the lion has an incredibly strong, lethal physical grip. But emotionally, the sources tell us that the king loves no one. Why? Well, because the lion is so proud and self-reliant, it considers absolutely no one greater than itself. This supreme arrogance translates into a strict investment in its own abilities. And this uncompromising power is actually what birthed the folklore that merely possessing or wearing the skin of a lion will magically grant a person bravery and unshakable leadership prowess.
Which brings us to Section 3, the lion's surprising fears, the comical weaknesses of a ruthless predator.
Okay, after establishing all that power and ruthless independence, we arrive at this sheer, hilarious contrast. On one side, we have our ruthless, fearless, imposing king, right? But on the other side, we have the things that literally terrify or baffle it. According to the source material, the great lion gets scared by the sound of roosters. Seriously, it is absolutely terrified by the sound of a regular house cat meowing. It is completely amazed and baffled by fire, and my absolute favorite, the mighty king of the jungle, is terrified of the sound of washing dishes. No way, right? Just imagine this apex predator possessing the ultimate royal code, literally sprinting away from the sound of clinking plates in a sink.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, even the most self-reliant leaders with the strictest financial and personal discipline have their own bizarre blind spots. Even if that blind spot is a phobia of dishwashing, it really makes you wonder what other hilarious and bizarre secrets are the animals of the world hiding from us? Well, you won't have to wait long to find out. Make sure to tune in to our upcoming explainer where we dive into the fascinating world of the camel. Hit that subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it ensures you never miss out on these incredible insights. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.